Hey, everybody, welcome to the Freedom Ranch. It's Christy Gessler, your dependent agent. Today is a really, really monumental day, and I want to tell you several reasons why it's monumental. First of all, it's a beautiful day in Central Texas, sitting out here on November 8th. And I'll tell you why November the 8th is a special day. I'm sure for those of you who have subscribed to this podcast for the last year, you've heard a lot about the number 8 and about the day that my life changed, and that was November 8th of 2017 when I went into a rehab facility to overcome alcohol addiction. And it was the start of a very scary time in my life, but also one of amazing, amazing opportunities and connections. And I've talked a lot about my journey through dependency and into sobriety and my work world and my personal life. And you've heard stories for weeks and weeks on the impact on my life of addiction, but the lessons I learned and I still learn coming out of it. And today's episode is kind of a grand finale, if you will, or a punctuation mark at the end of another chapter in my story. And I want to tell you why. So I've told you so far, November 8th, monumental day for me, 3 years of sobriety. Y'all were with me to celebrate 1,000 days, and now it's been more, and it keeps going on and on. And I'm thrilled every single day, because even though we were talking, even though there's challenges every day in the world of sobriety, there's little victories every single day. And every single day that you don't relapse is a victory. So one of the most profound lessons I think I've learned through this podcast and through this last year has been to celebrate the little victories. And so I really want to talk to you about a lot of really cool little victories and then some not so little victories. Last year, about this same time, 12 months ago, I was sitting around writing or thinking about what would be my 2020 business plans. Y'all remember those days? We were sitting back, 2019, thinking, what an absolutely shitty year 2019 has been. Oh my God, could it get any worse? I mean, how many of y'all were thinking that, right? Well, 2020 said, hold my damn beer, because here we go. So I had written in my business plans last year about this time, do a podcast. I thought, there's people podcasting all the time, and there's podcasts out there like Lee Brown's show, and It's Crazy Shit in Real Estate. Y'all soon find out why that's one of my favorites, and others. Ashley Flowers and Britt out of Indiana were doing this podcast called Crime Junkies, and it's still on, and I still listen to it every week, and I love it. And I thought, I have a story to tell, and I could use a little therapy. And podcasting sounds like fun. And I've never done podcasting before. I certainly don't know much about technology. I know I'm really good at screwing it up. But I think I've got a message. I think I've got something I should think about talking about. And those of you that know me, or maybe you've gotten to know me through listening to the Dependent Agents, I can talk and I can carry on a conversation. I thought, podcast. Think about doing a podcast. So I'm doing my business planning, I'm setting out my budget, and I'm realizing, I want this podcast, I want this whole process to be a project, to be a legacy project, to be something that I can always look back on and be proud of. And so I put the time in, I put the money in, I got the team together. Tiki Cam Productions have always done an amazing job for me. I highly recommend them for y'all too, by the way. But we put together a project and a concept and saw it through, and it's going to continue to live, but live on through different avenues. And I'm thrilled about that. So as much as I found the dependent agent being therapy for me, the act of just putting together a podcast was a small victory and was a goal. And it was a goal that I can sit here today on November 8th and say I achieved another goal. I completed the act of doing a produced podcast that I always wanted to do. So thank you for being here along the ride with me. And these episodes are going to be out there forever and ever. Amen, y'all. So you're not going to be able to get away from them. So you can keep listening, keep subscribing, sharing, encourage your friends to get involved and listen to the podcast. If for nothing else, one thing I know for sure, the message contained within all the episodes that we recorded was one of value, was one that you have value, and that we need to assess mental health services in real estate. They're non-existent right now. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. When we were going through this show, we were talking about so many hot topics throughout the weeks, and a lot of them involved the pandemic and dealing with COVID and trying to be a business owner and business leader in the world of COVID and in the world of a pandemic. And I talked to a lot of colleagues and podcasted about the struggles in being a business owner and trying to navigate this world of COVID. And so we have this fearless business ownership going on, and sometimes it's full of fear and anxiety. And then I remember weeks and months ago talking about masks and oh my God, how I don't want to wear a mask. It's hiding things, it's hiding my face. I had to hide so long when I was drinking so heavily because I didn't want people to know what I was up to. And so now I'm finally free of that. I remember talking about it. And then you're making me cover my face. And I just thought that was so hard to get through. Well, we've gotten through a lot worse, haven't we? We've all gotten used to masks and, it is what it is. So I survived a lot of judgment and a lot of scrutiny. And I have found a lot of grace through doing the podcast and talking about it. So I have made so many wonderful connections through this message and through continuing to deliver this message that I plan to do for months and years ahead. And I'm going to tell you why, but I come out of it with grace and I want to treat those that I've touched throughout my life. And there's some sour stories in my background with some people. And there's some stories that have changed in the way they were once sweeter and now maybe are a little bit more sour, maybe vice versa. Maybe there was some that were a little more sour and now they're a little bit more sweet. And I think that's pretty cool. So 2020 truly, in all honesty, was a great year. I mean, I can't imagine any year more exciting and more maybe that fits in my wheelhouse than what 2020 had to offer. There's no doubt about it. So now, though, we want to talk about the future. And the future for Christy Gessler is just as abundant and crazy as it ever has been. If one thing I think you all might be able to figure out about me, there's a saying, and I know a lot of people say that, less is more. I don't believe that for one hot minute. I believe more is more. No matter what you want, you should want more of something better for yourselves, and you should be unapologetic in asking for it. So if you want to be sober and that's what's better for you, you should be unapologetic in asking for help. And you should be unapologetic in asking for help if you're owning a small business and you're struggling. I had to learn how to be unapologetic in asking for help and admitting shortcomings. I like to laugh at myself, and that's probably the best way to admit a shortcoming. But the future of Christy Gessler involves a lot of trying to be innovative in real estate. I'm happy to announce that with the National Association of Realtors, I've been chosen to be in their Leadership Academy next year. So in 2021, there's going to be 25 realtors from around the nation, including Guam, that is going to be joining a collaboration like no other. And I'm so excited for what that's going to offer for me in my career and those connections I'm yet again going to make. But the message inherent in the dependent agent, it goes across all of those borders. And that is mental health awareness within our industry. And so I'm also serving next year as a Texas Realtors representative on the Business Issues Committee. And that's all in the world of public policy. So y'all, this year we had a big old election, didn't we? I think it's kind of over at this point, but we're not too sure. Next year in the state of Texas is going to be a legislative year, which means we get to go down to the Capitol and try to advocate for some things maybe that our industry might need. One of those things that Christy Gessler, I am going to be out in front of, is reforming homeowners associations. Now, I know if y'all are in real estate, especially if you're a real estate broker in the state of Texas, your ears just perked up, didn't they? I think we can all get behind reforming and creating a little transparency within the management of homeowners associations is probably not a bad idea for 2021. So that's one of the things I'll be working on. So if any of y'all have a particular passion, either for or against homeowners associations, I wouldn't mind hearing about it. Shoot me an email, christygessler@gmail.com, and share with me a little story about why you think homeowners associations in Texas are either helpful or hurtful to a Texas homeowner. I think I know how I feel, and I think I know how I'm going to try to work next year. But I'd like to know if you have any insights. Let me know. And also, if you are in the real estate industry, watch for those meetings. And when they are posted, give your comments. Let us know. It's pretty important. The other goal, though, I'm going to tell y'all, it's more important than anything having to do with a transaction and buying and selling a house. Because, by the way, right now, I can't really think of a better time to be a real estate broker. I'm not going to lie. Home ownership right now is more important than ever. Y'all everywhere in America went through a multi-week quarantine. I think everybody's thinking a little bit different about their homes right now. I think everybody's thinking differently about their finances right now. how maybe to better yourselves and maybe take advantage of some opportunities to refinance and all of that. So, in the real estate world, we are excellent at taking care of transactions. Y'all don't worry, we will take care of homeowners associations professionally, ethically, collaboratively, and there will be a wonderful arrangement that will come about this next year, and we'll get there. I'm ready to do what the work requires. But the one thing that we don't do in this business is take care of each other in the world of mental health. I think I've talked a lot about that over the course of this podcast, and it's pretty awful how we don't. One thing I've talked about a lot is the culture in real estate and the culture at some companies. And there may be a real underbelly of a true culture of caring and kindness and grace and resources, but it's not always evident. So the big thing I'm going to push for through the Leadership Academy and other roles that I will be holding as a real estate broker is something as simple as this. Y'all, in our management of associations and our brokerages, one of the most beneficial benefits of being a Texas Realtor specifically is our legal hotline. Texas Realtors offers you a resource where if you have a legal problem, almost of any capacity, before you notify anybody else, you can call the legal hotline and get some help. And you're going to get quality help, quality information, quality action items. You can't beat it. But nowhere is there a phone number for you to call that's sponsored by our association that provides you a counselor in the middle of the night if you're undergoing a mental health crisis. What if you're writing a contract and you realize you're just going to lose this deal and that was your family's mortgage for the next 2 months? And you have a lot of other weights on your plate. And all of a sudden you're feeling pretty desperate and feeling like you want to turn to something pretty desperate. We don't have a phone number right now as an association that you can call and get help, and I think that's disgusting. So I'm going to work really hard to make sure that there are some solid, free of charge, quality mental health resources available to realtors. We owe it to each other, and we owe it to the clients that we serve. We take on a very large burden in helping someone buy a home. And a lot of those feelings we internalize. And as a realtor, you know it. And as a consumer, I want you to know it. That actions, your stress of your home purchase is amplified inside your realtor. And without some resources and some access to professional services and some real-time, in-the-moment help, I think we're kidding ourselves in terms of the quality of work we can put out there. I think we can do a lot better. So I thank y'all for being on this journey with the dependent agent. It's been a hell of a great experience. I've enjoyed every second of it. I've loved having y'all out at my Freedom Ranch. If y'all heard some guineas and chickens in the background, it's one of the benefits to living out here. It's peaceful, it's quiet, but it's productive, and it helps me focus. And I help you find your way through that. And if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, and addiction like I have and will continue, I want to keep celebrating small victories. Today, November 8th, is a really big day. It's a kind of a big victory, but you know what? It's year 3 of probably at least another 50 years of small victories that I'm going to go through to stay sober. Plan to have a lot more days just like this one, where I'm celebrating the good. Not every day is going to be perfect. We're not that stupid, and we're not that naive to think that everything's going to be unicorns and rainbows. But with some more help for each other, and I think some resources out there, I think we can do a lot better. So thank y'all for being on this journey with me. Christy Gessler, the dependent agent. I'm not going anywhere. The content will be there. The interaction online will still be there. All the social media is still alive and well. So I want you to interact. Keep the conversation going. Let's get some really good resources together. And I hope to see y'all out there and about, mask or no mask, regulation or no regulation. We're going to do great out there together. So thank you all. Take care.